So, so I was saying something before I went off in the previous video. So I was talking about privilege escalation. So for Windows system, for Linux systems, you need to search the CVs, common variabilities, exposures for various versions of Windows and Linux to determine what exploits exist. And like I said earlier on, that this CV database have details of several types of vulnerabilities and what it's possible in terms of you exploiting them. Of course, Metasploit have a library for all of these exploits. You don't want to have default account settings. So if you're doing your pen testing, that's one thing you can be checking for vulnerabilities. Sandbox escape, shell upgrade. You want to be checking virtual machines. Are you using a container system? A container system, it's such that you want to have a common operating system. And this, if you can compromise that system, you can compromise every container that relies on it. So these are some of the things you can be testing while you're trying to do your pen testing. Okay. Persistence. So method to maintain access to a victim's machine. So the question now is, will you be having very synonymous to this guy? Will you be having a backdoor? Will you be having a continuous access to that particular machine? So that's not going to be possible if a backdoor is not created. Then are you going to have, or do you have scheduled jobs or tasks? And there's to call cron jobs in Linux systems, either in web hosting service or services that maintains other services. For instance, you can say, okay, let me put it very simple. If you say you want to send birthday messages to all your clients, right? So it then means that by 12 midnight every day, you're going to run a cron job. And that cron job is going to scan all of your customers and see whose birthday is 12 midnight that day. That is by 12:01. So if he identifies anybody, he's going to send a message and say, hello, hooray, happy birthday. We saved your date up to this day, and we wish you blah, 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 blah. That's an example of a cron job, right? So cron jobs are used in Unix, Linux, and OS, that is the Mac OS. Allows the script or command to be run at specific times, date, or intervals. Export this to run every Saturday this. For instance, we created an application sometime and where we need to do a debit alert on some accounts by 28th of every month to pay interest to customers on the banking software. That's an example of a cron job. These same principles can still be used by an attacker to try to get some information from the environment. So as a pen tester, you want to be looking at most of these things and see where do you have things that were not commissioned or were not implemented by the owners of that IT infrastructure, because that cannot be like a loophole, somebody trying to do something that was not meant to be. Then of course you have daemons, you have backdoors, you have Trojans. All of these methods can be used as exploit methodologies. Okay, one last thing is you trying to clear your tracks. So you see, I mentioned earlier on that you have 5 stages of hack. And I think I didn't cover it in these slides, but I'm just trying to abridge and explain them. So I said you have reconnaissance and footprinting, scanning and enumeration, getting access, maintaining access. The last thing is clearing tracks. So clearing tracks is very important. Covering your tracks, erase, modify, disable the evidence, clear log files, hiding files and folders. Hiding files and folders, normally we call that steganography, right? Steganography. So you have image steganography, you have voice kind of steganography, you have video, you have different type of stereography where people can add files within files using multiple data streams so that they can cover tracks or they could pass information from one point to the other. Now, most operating systems have a way for you to see evidences. A very clear example is your browser. Your browser allows you to see evidence by having history. If you come on a system, if you want to know what the person have done the last 5, 6, 7, 8 hours or 100 days, you just need to go to your browser and you go to the history and you go to see all of that information. So if the person clears his tracks, you will not be able to see that. But those information can still be logged in the temporary folder within that system. Now, covering tracks is very, very important, very, very critical. So if you're doing pen testing, these are some of the areas you want to be looking at to see if you can see some vulnerabilities, some susceptibility to attacks, or some kind of attacks that have happened in the time past. Okay, erase, modify, disable the evidence, removing any unneeded file or tool that were added to the victim's machine, hiding other files and resources in hidden or common locations, create a folder beginning with a dot. In Linux environment, if you do that, that file become a hidden file, and most tools or most readers will not see it. If it's a Windows file, hide stuff inside the system32 or user folder. You could right click on the file and make it hidden, or you could use alternate data stream. That is this guy, this explanation here. Type notepad.exe, calculate exe.notepad.exe, start this. So whatever you have here is not being hidden inside this calculator, right? Creating a new user, this is how you create a new user. So clearing tracks is very important when it comes to performing penetration testing, or when it comes to you trying to see what has happened with time pass. Okay, there are several tools you can use to do this. You could use the default tools by the operating system. If you're using a Windows operating system, you normally see that in the application logs, in the security logs, or in the event logs, or in the browser logs, or in the temporary folders. If you're using Linux, it's your var folder /logs. Pen testers do not usually modify or delete any of these logs, but check your scope of work. So you must make sure that in your scope of work, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that you don't go against what you've said you're going to do. For, I think this is timestamp. There's a mistake here. For timestamp, torch, CTime, Metapreter has built-in tools also. Another way you could clear tracks is, I use a tool, it's called CCleaner. It's a very nice tool. You could use that. It could clear tracks. This is it. CCleaner, it has a clearing track utility. You could use that to clear tracks. You could use that to even remove applications that are kind of stubborn. You could use it to see files that run on startup on the operating system. So very, very important for a penetration tester, especially if you are seeing if you have backdoors. And if you check the YouTube channel and you see the Cisco Cyber Ops training, I've published some labs there that have to do with checking for logs, checking for what again? Quite some things that have to do with log files, right? If you check the channel, you see some labs are created there for either for Linux operating system or Windows operating system. Windows have quite a lot of tools, like the sysinternals tools does a lot of that. For instance, for this CCleaner, you have tools, you have options. Where is this guy again? Applications. Startup, yes, that is it, startup. So these are the applications that run on startup. You see, I have them, they are very limited in number because I have cleaned up most of the things I don't need to run as startup. And most PCs have some things running as startups that they didn't intend to run as startup. So you might have a backdoor always starting up when you start up your system without your knowledge being hidden. Of course, it's going to show up here. So you could enable, you could disable, for instance, monitor ink alerts for my HP3 540. I could just disable it. I say, I don't want that guy to start up every time my machine starts up. CC Cleaner, Smart Cleaner, I need that. My Electron app, Vidyard, I use that for recording. My Microsoft Edge, my antivirus, this adapter I use for wireless hacking. My light shot for screen grabbing, security health, for VMware, the VMware I use for virtualization. So these are some of the most important things I need. Most of the other things that will normally come, you want to be checking out this particular place to make sure that what you don't intend to be there is not there. Okay, that will be the end of this module. I'll return to do the recording for module 4, which is penetration testing tools. Thank you very much. You have questions, please don't forget to ask. You have comments. If you like what you're seeing, if you want me to record more aspects to this training, please don't forget to mention that in the comment section. Thank you very much.